As students near the Napa Valley fires, we needed more information on the recent tragedy.
And we had the privilege of talking to Napa's firefighters in order to get their take and their experiences of the recent events.
It was a typical October weekend in Northern California when one of California's biggest fire events began.
Alerts go out to our phones. I got mine. I woke up in the morning, I saw that, and immediately I got all my gear on. I didn't know what was going on yet. Got everything ready to go, and I left. Just headed out towards Napa.
The Napa Fire Complex was one of California's biggest wildfires, and on the front lines were some of Northern California's firefighters and emergency personnel.
Local resident Justin Ewan was personally affected by the fires.
My lungs were really badly affected by the fires since I have really bad asthma. People were piled up with lots of work, and some didn't come back because some had anemia. And the firefighters during the Napa fire were the most courageous people I've ever seen. They were selfless in every single way possible. And spending almost 2 weeks with no sleep, constantly fighting that fire. None of us here can do that without the right mindset or the training needed. These firefighters aren't just ordinary.
Our firefighters risk their lives every day protecting their communities, and their commitment to service is their passion, as probationary firefighter Jeremy of Napa Fire Station 3 can attest to.
I've always been drawn to jobs that I can help people, and it helps motivate me, I think, to do a better job at work. Gives me a purpose. So, and that's kind of been a pattern all throughout my adult life. I was in the Air Force, and from there I went and did a bunch of different things that all involved helping people.
Nowhere was the risk greater than in the recent Napa fire.
Fire Captain Chris Gilbert states that as firefighters, they perform outstanding tasks, but even though they've undergone extensive training, they're still regular citizens.
Well, I think we're ordinary people. The difference between us and the layman is we train for this stuff all the time. Our job is to make a difference, and we make a career out of that.
And like many regular people, these firefighters have families, and the disconnect from family is their sacrifice, like firefighter Dustin Jones experienced firsthand.
Probably just the biggest sacrifice was time away from family. I have twin 4-year-old boys, but they're just now starting to get to that age where they can kind of, realize dad's work schedule. This last event was probably like the first time with them being 4 where they were able to, consciously realize that I'm gone for 2 weeks and not be able to handle it.
However, these firefighters continue to fight and persevere despite the raging flames. Firefighter Jeremy was situated in the heat.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of fire, and there's very seasoned guys in this field that have been doing it for decades, that this was their biggest fire ever that they've been on. And I was on for less than a month, and the biggest fire ever happened. And so for me, it was, shock and just trying to help out however I could, with my limited experience.
After all the hard work, firefighters need to wind down. They're still human and can only handle so much.
Sometimes you can go 36 hours before you just literally need to stop, and sometimes you can only go 24 hours. I mean, when it's home and you're seeing homes go and it's in your DNA to do what you can do, you just keep going and keep going. You run on adrenaline. At some point, 2-3 days into it, I think is probably when we first closed our eyes.
The Napa fires were a tragedy, but through it all, the community stays together, praising the first responders and taking the first few steps towards recovery.
Every day there's probably 50, 60 heavy 18-wheeler type dump trucks running up and down Trancas, and they all have the disaster relief stickers on the side, and what they're doing is going up there trying to not only bring in supplies to help. That's one thing this devastation has done is it's brought, in a time when we nationally are struggling to, are being divided all the time. We're struggling to get together. An incident like this in these 2 counties was huge.
Firefighters risk their lives to protect everyone, and when they are called to service, they truly drop everything, leave their families, and head out to fight fires. And they fight for as long as their body can handle it. These civil servants may perform heroic tasks, but they're still human, just like you and me.